From AccuWeather, the floor is yours, Jess.
Thanks, Ron. You want to dim the lights?
Dim the lights, okay?
All right, as Ron said, he's bringing several different kinds of perspectives to the paranormal world with these events today. And from my perspective, I just want to talk about some really strange weather phenomena that are sometimes mistaken for UFOs or other paranormal things. Like Stan said, there's a lot of the reports that can be explained by science, and I'm going to talk about some of those. I do work up at AccuWeather headquarters in State College, Pennsylvania. As Ron said, we do have Ron and I's other business is storm chasing in Pennsylvania. So if you go on Facebook and look up Pennsylvania Storm Chaser Group, you can join that and see pictures of the weather that Ron and I are posting. So one of the things, when I think about weather phenomena that have been mistaken for UFOs or paranormal things over the years, first thing that comes to mind is lenticular clouds. And this is a photo of a lenticular cloud over a mountain. And the way normal clouds work is the air rises up. When it becomes moist, it forms a cloud, and then the cloud usually breaks off and moves away. But in the case of a lenticular cloud, it's continually reforming itself as the winds go up and over the mountain. And sometimes you can have 2 or 3 of these stacked on top of each other, and they just sit there. They appear to just sit there and not move like other clouds. Ron, you want to go to the next slide?
Not really, but okay, Jess. Go ahead.
This is another example of a lenticular cloud in South America that looks very much like some of the UFO shapes that you see out there. You can tell, though, but because it's a little ragged around the edges, that it is a cloud. Next. And this is one more cloud. This was up at Mount Washington, New Hampshire, home of the world's worst weather. There's a group of scientists that are up there all year, even during the really harsh winter. And this was a picture they took one day of a lenticular cloud that was forming at sunset. And it's kind of hard to see here, but there is a mountain down here where, again, the air rises up and over the mountain, forms a cloud, and then continually does that. This would probably not really be mistaken for a UFO, but it is interesting. This is an example of a really severe thunderstorm out in the plains that could spawn a tornado. And you notice in nature that a lot of things end up taking on a circular shape, especially in weather. Another weather phenomena is the hole punch cloud, and scientists are still not quite sure how these form, but in my observation, generally, I know they can form if an airplane punches through a cloud deck. They can also form if the water vapor contrail from an airplane falls through a cloud. And so what you see is that the cloud basically precipitates out, and ice crystals fall out of it, and then you can see the clear area where it used to be. This is another example of a hole punch cloud. This one is taken from YouTube, and this one caused a lot of controversy in Russia a couple years ago because people thought it was a UFO. Something else that's not technically weather, but is weather related, is from time to time, especially around Florida and Southern California, NASA will send up rockets for various research. And the exhaust from the rockets often takes on a very strange trail shape and often is associated with rainbow colors as the light reflects off of the ice crystals in the rocket's water vapor trail. Something else that's just recently been discovered in meteorology is these things that happen above a thunderstorm, way above a thunderstorm, up to 100 kilometers up. And there's a few pictures of these around the internet, but they're hard to capture on film. There's a couple different ones. There's the blue jet. So as lightning strikes down in a thunderstorm, this blue jet comes out of the top. Another one is called a sprite and looks like this. And again, that one occurs way, way above a thunderstorm. As lightning strikes down here, electromagnetic particles get pushed up above the cloud and form the sprite. Something else you've probably heard of is called ball lightning. This is the only known picture of ball lightning because it was just recently recreated in a lab. I have seen this phenomenon myself. Basically, when lightning strikes a building, some of the extra energy from the lightning strike may roll off of objects, roll along power lines or wires, and that sort of thing. And it's just basically extra plasma from the electricity of the lightning strike.
Okay.
If you go to the next slide,
Okay,
I think it's the sound was fired.
Okay.
This is again recreated in a lab. It can appear as any sort of like a miniature lightning strike emanating from metal objects. It can produce a buzzing sound, basically around any sort of metal objects. And as Ron said, unfortunately, he was close enough to a lightning strike that he got a
I loved it.
person.
I loved it. It was great. The ultimate rush, folks. I'm not joking.
Don't try that at home.
You want to have fun? You want to find God? Chase lightning. Seriously.
All right, the other thing, again, it's not specifically weather related, but it's often seen in a lot of weather photos. There was some talk last year when these UFO-shaped objects were sighted at several different places on Google Street View, where the car goes around and takes pictures of the streets. There's a lot of hubbub about that, but somebody else pointed out that you can actually also see them on the road. And I believe they found out that all of these were co-located with a McDonald's, and it's a reflection off of the McDonald's sign. But there's a lot of different lens reflections that can happen. Ron and I can tell you from photographing lightning and other weather phenomena that there's a lot of things that can be explained by lens reflections. If you go to the next slide, this was a photo that was taken a couple years ago, and there were several unknown objects up here in the sky that were bigger than the stars. And when somebody went down and kind of ran the math on the photo to look at the geometry of it, these are the objects up close, they found that each object was related to a street light on the ground. Something else that you can see in the winter sometimes around here is pillars of light in the sky, and if you look closely, they're emanating from a light source on the ground, and what's happening is they're reflecting in the ice crystals. It's called light pillars. I think you've seen those, Ron.
Right, and everything, folks, too. Don't be confused, okay? We now know that light can be refracted 50, 60, 70 miles away. You could be up in Georgetown on the Laurel Ridge facing towards Stan's house in Pittsburgh and see what appears to be things floating in the sky, okay? It's nothing more than light refracting coming from Pittsburgh or from Harrisburg, either direction you look.
Of course, the classic UFO explanation, which was used in Roswell in 1947, was the weather balloon. And each National Weather Service office, of which there are 3 in Pennsylvania, does send up a weather balloon every day, twice a day, sometimes more often. And this is an example of some sort of a quadcopter or helicopter that someone had put up recently that was reported as a UFO. And I understand those as these things become more and more common to be able to be purchased from a craft store, we're going to start getting more and more reports of UFOs. This particular one here of Ron's.
Just turn it on.
Yeah.
We'll demonstrate it.
Turn it on real quick. I don't need to fly it, but
Go and fly it, Jess.
these things come with.
Come on, Jess, I dare you. Come on.
Oh, no way. I don't want to kill anybody. Basically, these things have green and red lights on the front.
Oh, he has no nerve.
Here, we'll start her up at least so they can see the lights on the bottom. So this thing's got 2 red and 2 green lights. And then Ron's also attached some additional blinking lights to the bottom of it too. And these can be obtained at a craft store for around $300.
Now the fun part about, we launched it here about 3 months ago, a couple of sets in Vinco, and we had received within 5 minutes like 80 phone calls to 911. So people are absolutely drawn to lights in the sky, and they have no idea what they are.
And Stan talked about the Chinese lanterns too. That's another one that we're seeing a lot of.
Right.
All right, next slide. All right, so what does all this mean? Well, if you look at a recent study that NASA looked into, they said there's about 100 billion planets in the Milky Way galaxy that are like ours. And if you look at the entire universe, or at least the known universe, there's over 1 sextillion different Earth-like planets in the universe. So in my
Say that
opinion,
again? That
sextillion.
number? I never heard that before. I
Yeah,
haven't heard that.
16 zeros. So to me, that probably means there is life out there somewhere other than Earth, in my personal opinion. But as Stan has said, we don't have a lot of concrete evidence yet. And if you look at one of the restrictive things about alien beings coming to Earth is simply the time that they need to evolve to the point that they could get the sort of space travel that we don't even have yet on Earth. All right, next. So in science, there's a philosophy called Occam's razor. And basically what it says is that if you have several different explanations for something, the easiest one is probably the correct one. And I believe in this, and it's served me pretty well. So ask yourself, which is more likely that a known flying object like a plane or a quadcopter was mistaken for a UFO, or that an extraterrestrial life form has evolved and made the long journey to appear in our skies but not lead any evidence. So I think that a lot of the UFO cases can be explained. Not all of them can. So you put it all together. Next slide. There are about 70,000 UFO reports per year. So let's say, just to play the numbers game, let's say 30,000 of them are atmospheric phenomena, weather related. Let's say another 30,000 are known aircraft, another 9,999 are camera reflections. None of that matters, because if there's just one that can't be explained, then there's something going on out there. I'd like to thank everybody for attending today. I'd like to thank Stan for an excellent presentation as well, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the presentations today.
Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, she's got a question over here.
Could you say something about sundogs?
Sundogs, that's another great example. I probably should have included those in there. With the ice crystals in the atmosphere, you can get a lot of rainbow-type phenomena. You can get the what they call the 22-degree halo, which is basically the ring around the sun or moon, and that's just where the sunlight's reflecting off the ice crystals in the sky. And then the sundogs are the two circular bright spots on either side of that halo.
Like there's another sun.
Right, yeah. Say if it's a really bright one, it almost looks like there's another sun.
And we actually had one last year, it was last year in the afternoon in Washington County, which is a photograph on my website.